Joining me now, Todd Huntley, former military lawyer and director of the National Security Law Program at Georgetown University Law Center, and Jamil Jaffer, founder and executive director of the National Security Institute. Glad to have both of your expertise here tonight. I want to begin with you, Todd. The administration is essentially saying that seizing the tanker is legal. For many Americans, they may have never even heard of this before. Is it legal? Is it common?
Not very common. I think it has we have done it in the past, seizing Iranian oil tankers. So it's not unusual. And of course, we don't know all the facts. I would like to know kind of what the basis was that they decided to stop and board this vessel. But the fact that they had a warrant or authorization from a federal court, and this vessel, I believe its owner, was also on a list of sanctioned individuals and entities on a legal basis.
I mean, Jamil, let me turn to you on this, too, because Venezuela is saying that the U.S. committed a, quote, act of international piracy, unquote, by seizing the tanker. The U.S. says this happened in international waters, but there was a warrant involved, which might be a surprise to people. You can get a warrant for this sort of thing. Given the commonness of this, do you think this is something that the world will support?
Well, look, I mean, we've had sanctions on Iran for a long time for their oil. We've sanctioned Venezuela as well. This ship was actually sanctioned back in 2022 and is under a different name. It's apparently owned or at least operated by a Russian oligarch. Okay. And so this thing has had ties for a long time. Why we're seizing it now, and whether it was because of the Venezuelan oil, the Iranian oil, still a lot to be determined, as Todd was saying. But at the end of the day, there is U.S. legal authority for a federal court, as it turns out, sitting in Admiralty, who knew, to issue warrants for ships that violate U.S. law on the high seas. And the Coast Guard effectuates those seizures, as they did here. Apparently, they had help from some special operations forces operating off the USS Gerald Ford. But this has happened before. Usually what happens is we seize these tankers temporarily, we get the oil off, we release the vessel. Sometimes you keep the vessel. It looks like, at least in this case, we're definitely keeping the oil. No surprise there, I think. And so off we go.
Let me ask you, because listen to what Mark Warner, the senator from Virginia, had to say when he brought up this point about the tanker seizure. Listen.
If we can interdict a vessel of this size, why can't we interdict some of these drug boats?
It does raise a question, Jamil, given the size of, say, those suspected drug boats and this. I mean, they're repelling, they're landing on it, they're taking the things off the boat. No one was hurt, I would mention. Does that undercut the administration's argument that they couldn't just interdict those drug boats?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, look, we've known about drug boats for years. You could certainly interdict them, and you could certainly take them out. If the president determines that they're operating as essentially as terrorists, which he has, he's declared them terrorists, and believes that lethal force is necessary, right? The president has some leeway to do that, right, under his powers commander-in-chief. The question then becomes, is Congress going to do anything about it, right? Are they going to authorize it? Are they not going to authorize it? Are they going to stop the president from doing this? They haven't done that, right? Congress has authority in this domain. They can choose to not authorize this activity, or under the War Powers Resolution, tell the president he's got to withdraw those forces from the effort against the drug dealers. They haven't done that. So the president, like many presidents before him, is going to go forward and roll out on this, as he has. We're talking about 22 strikes now, about 80 people killed. Obviously, the stuff that went on with that first strike, right, and the folks in the water that Secretary Hegseth has been talking about quite a bit. I think that's obviously a challenge.
Speaking of the strikes, I mean, the U.S. did pick up survivors, we understand, of a later strike. And the New York Times reports that part of a new policy to send survivors to other countries might be happening. Listen to this reporting. Behind that policy was a quieter goal: to ensure survivors did not end up in the United States judicial system, where court cases could force the administration to show evidence justifying President Trump's military campaign in the region. So why the policy change if we're told they believe that their actions were legal?
Yeah. Well, a lot going on here, right? First strike that we took, apparently 2 survivors in the water. Yeah. There was a second strike, took them out. Then there was a follow-on. There were later on strikes. Apparently 1 survivor in the water. Nobody went and got him, or they couldn't find him, so he probably drowned. And then 2 more we picked up, sent them back to their home countries of Ecuador and I think Colombia. So the policy is shifting, right? And so the question is, what is the policy? Why do we have a different policy? Was it because they thought that policy was a mistake, unlawful? who knows? They've defended the lawfulness of taking that second strike. There's an ongoing debate. Congress has now seen the videos. Questions, will they release the videos? The last heard from Secretary Hedgeseth was at the Reagan Defense Forum in LA just this past weekend. I was there. He said, well, we sort of look at the question of whether we would disclose, sensitive information about the video. Of course, that raises the question. You released the first video, the video of the first strike. What is about the second strike that's so sensitive, right? Folks in Congress that have seen it, though, have told me that what's on that video is disturbing and concerning. And, obviously, we'll see if they release it. But it probably isn't the greatest look. There are rules around, folks that are orders of combat, they're injured or shipwrecked or have surrendered. If that's what was going on here, that could be a real problem for the administration, for the secretary, and the folks involved.
We shall see what happens with this. Jamil, thank you so much. I want to point out as well that Todd Huntley, we had some audio issues. We'd love to hear your perspective as well. We'll have you back on again.